Yes, it is your resident UB whisperer couch coop talking about Blood Dragon, long overdue. Something, 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 sexual Tyrannosaurus, good golly Miss Molly. What was that? Released in 2013 as a standalone spin-off from Far Cry 3. The lead designer is Kevin Gillimead. We are knee-deep in when Ubisoft was good territory. The game stands out for me because it's one of the few roles that Michael Biehn lent his voice to. He was actually in Tiberian Sun, I've just seen. But bro's not exactly Troy Baker, so it's very cool to have an iconic 80s action hero actually voicing the main character. This game also has hands down one of the most hilarious tutorials. The guy says exactly what you're thinking. If you're like me, you've sat through thousands of these things. It's great stuff to hear that fourth wall constantly broken.
I fucking hate tutorials, and this one is terrible. Let's show them how cyber commandos get it done.
Mark 4 style, motherfucker!
The entire game is a blatant action 80s tribute, otherwise known as the golden age of cinema and entertainment. This boils down to a lot of its visual aesthetics, a lot of the language, and even the plot and characters. Video games do not look and sound like this now. I'm talking about the script and the masculinity, the foul language, the innuendo. There's people on Blue Sky that would have a full-blown meltdown if they knew something like this existed. I'm also coming off the back of playing a game called Voidbreaker, and if you don't know, it's one of the more hectic first-person roguelikes available on the market. I've never felt so sorry for a bunch of NPC enemies in my entire life. I am not hiding, I am not seeking, bros. I'm taking it right to them. This is all running very well, Coop, I hear you ask. It certainly is, and thank you for noticing, and I'll tell my normal tale of what happens with 8th generation, well 7th generation Ubisoft games and 9th generation Sony machines, is that they are completely ignored. This does not look that great over on PS5, unfortunately. I did my usual, the PC gave me a window of operation, I got this going full settings, 60 frames, 1080 however, but it is smooth as hell and a lot more playable than that Sony PlayStation 5 version of the game. I do apologise.
It's a mega force, all right.
After a blade takedown, you can chain kill nearby enemies. Protecting heavily armored cyber soldiers. Use heavy ordnance.
Is this a good Far Cry game, or is this just New Dawn spin-off territory? Well, the game's only 6GB, and it's actually going after a completely different direction with how you attack enemy bases and working in conjunction with the large mutant dinosaurs that exist on this planet/world I'm going to go with. It all just sort of comes together. It's very familiar if you know Far Cry 3 on a control front and an engine front, but they've sort of upped things with different enemy types and giving everything this gorgeous futuristic aesthetic. There are still vehicles, there are still indigenous animals, you still have that map, and I speak to a lot of people, including some of my subscribers, who tell me that this is their favourite Far Cry of all time, and that is so understandable because it is very individual in hindsight.
Recompiling the motherboard! Just a few more seconds!
Let's have a quick look at those dinosaurs because they are quite fun. I mean, this is not Horizon Zero Dawn, but the way they're introduced and how you use them as weaponry. You throw these hearts and they act as bait. They'll go charging into a base, or they'll shoot their laser beamed mouth Godzilla style at stuff. I was very surprised at how that aspect works. It's almost like Primal level of animal integration. Far Cry Primal was released a number of years after this game.
Snack time.
converting the bases is like anything else in the Far Cry series, but you also have attachments on your weapons, which it takes pretty damn seriously, including a really cool laser sight, and that is, I think, Robocop's gun. They put it into 4 as a Uplay special award. And that brings me over to the 9th generation Sony side and a potential patch. You might be aware of Far Cry 4 getting that 60 frames per second put in all those years after its release. There is a universe where I see this happening with Blood Dragon, or even a complete remaster. And then I realised that half the jokes would send some people running for their safe space.
Party favor.
Objective. Use cyborg vision to tag hostiles in the base from the overlook.
I'm actually not even joking when I say that. There's a line in here about cross-dressing and drag. It comes up as a joke on screen. I dare not even show you it. It would 100% get you fired nowadays. And I'm in the UK, so I'd probably get my door kicked in. Playing it feels a little bit like a thing that you're not allowed anymore. And that's kind of awesome, to be honest with you.
For fuck's sake, shut up, HUD. I do what I want.
Understood. Just keep in mind that there are 2 ways to turn off the mega shields, through either the console or directly at the generator, which you can also destroy.
Blah, 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 kill, blah, blah, blah.
Michael's lines are so good, they're so varied, and also his fixing animations when he's injured. He's got a cyber hand, Johnny Silver, but the tete-a-tete, I'm sound a bit more cosmopolitan there, Coop. The tete-a-tete between him and the voiceover lady is constant, it's brilliant, it's embedded comedy. We don't see enough of it. I am also a huge fan of these pixel art story sort of snippets that we're getting in between levels, campaigns and missions. I just wish they were full screen. I would quite happily pay for the Far Cry Blood Dragon graphic novel.
There it is!
We found the mainframe.
Secure that intel.
Work your black magic, Lieutenant.
Hey, don't be hating a brother for his skills now.
Most of the side quests, if not all of them, are named after iconic 80s films or even film lines. There is always a nod to the genre throughout the game. They sneak them in. It's brilliant spotting them and hearing them. I did just want to show you some vehicle action here, and you don't have a fire from your car option. You do have that in 4. They implemented it, and it does make you realize how big a jump on a tech level 4 was against Far Cry 3 and Blood Dragon. And this was where over on the Sony side on the PlayStation 5 it was all being a bit iffy, and the frame rates as well. I found shooting just so much more easier when logging into this PC version. By the way, is on Game Pass.
New objective received. Displaying. Eliminate all enemies.
Consider it done.
I also got talking about this subject on the Rage 2 Borderlands 4 area, and it was to do with enemies stumbling around, acting like they've been shot, a lot more visual feedback on things that you were shooting at. It seemed to be a little stronger 5 or 10 years ago. Graphically, things look a lot better today, obviously, but you've only got to look at Far Cry 6 to see how dumbed down some of that NPC behavior is. It's kind of crazy, and it's so good seeing it in here. There's a dude who slides in this door. I wanted to make a meme out of it, put some cool music against it. Hopefully I'll get time. Back to that point made at the beginning about running and gunning and just slamming into everybody. I don't think this game really wants you to play it as a stealth, sneak and creep. I think it's all about facing up to everybody, throwing loads of grenades. It's liberal with the Molotovs. It also has an automatic upgrade system. You don't have to worry about putting points onto anything. You just level up as you progress through the game. I also can remember everybody being overjoyed that this is like standalone as well, and a thing that you can have completely separate to Far Cry 3. It also had a Trials spin-off, the side-scrolling motorcycle game, which I may even put on the channel at some point. Everything Blood Dragon needs to go on the channel. Is this better than Far Cry New Dawn? hell yes, this is absolutely amazing compared to that. Half its size and 10 years older. Ubisoft is going to have a very tense year. We're in 2026, by the way. Some of that new management, some of that 10-cent money may help revive the company. Assassin's Creed Shadows did not do that great. Far Cry 6 is a bit of a dumpster fire over on 9th generation console because the Sony version screen tears everywhere. I took it around a mate's house the other day and even they noticed it, and they're not even obsessed with this stuff like my good self. Is there anything like this out there now that is sort of unapologetically 80s themed and hasn't been forcefully de-chudderized by Jason Schreier? I'd have to say Broforce is probably the closest thing. Help me out with that. Am I missing out on an indie? Nothing immediately comes to mind. That is one way to cut right through, I think, a lot of the queue to get to the front of the line is to produce something that celebrates that genre, the humour and everything else, the music that came with it. They did still keep in the glider, thank God. And that also brings me on to the final and probably one of the more strongest aspects of the entire game, and it's the soundtrack, that awesome synth 80s tribute that constantly twangs in the background and plucks up during combat. It's excellent.
Send for a medic so I can kill him too.
So many variables are in place for this game that may never occur again. I'm talking about where Ubisoft was in 2013, the whole Far Cry series itself, getting Michael Biehn on board to do the voice acting, having that 80s aesthetic be so crystallized now in 2026, as mentioned in my Far Cry 5 review, lightning in a bottle, twice. You also didn't have to endure a single montage, which annoyed me a bit. I would have liked to have used that soundtrack more, but you don't have the scrub the UI of the binoculars on this version of Far Cry. That comes with 4. I also don't have much else to cover on the Far Cry front. I think I've got to all of them, including that 60 frame patch that we had for 4, but I haven't actually laid that onto the channel, so that may be a window. And playing this has made me realize how much more they added to that sequel.
Time to ride shotgun.
My next videos include Chronos The New Dawn, and there's a cool twin stick local co-op indie game just popped up on one of the services. I will put it out ASAP. My name was CouchCoo. I look forward to seeing you down there.
Mark 4 style, motherfucker!
And my path ended here.
What was that?